Game Related, where we highlight opportunities and obstacles for former athletes with the thought process of giving future generations a better understanding about the game.
These conversations are meant to bring awareness to the hardships and opportunities that come with the game. Let's get game related.
All right, y'all, season 2, man. We back. We got our guy Folarin Campbell in the building. I got a funny backstory about this real quick. So Shaq was actually our first guest on Game Related, but we had a lot of technical difficulties, right? We was trying to figure out some things and the whole film got damaged, right? So we gracious that my guy came back in and give us his time again, and we actually doing the episode over, man. So welcome to the show.
Hey, what's going on, man? Appreciate y'all having me, man. Appreciate
it. Part 2. So look, man, Shaq was a 2-time All-Met at Springbrook. Was with the legendary run at Mason, going to the Final Four. You went twice to the tournament too, right?
Yeah.
You went twice. You went in senior year.
Yep, and that reality check right there made me understand how big that Final Four run was.
All right. Yeah, and then you played what, 13 years overseas?
Yeah, 13 years. Yep.
Yeah, so there's a lot of game about to get dropped, man. So make sure y'all tune in. So what we always start off with is handling success, right? Everybody's trying to be successful, but getting there and maintaining that level of success is a different story. You know, what would you say helped you get to that point, and what advice would you give to others as far as handling success?
I think the main thing is staying humble and having a work ethic. I know that was big for me growing up. I played a lot of basketball, and I knew I wanted to be a pro at it. And I actually peaked when I was young. You know what I mean? And when I was playing, it was like
height-wise, or
no, I'm just talent-wise. You know what I mean? Like I thought I was playing at a high level when I was young, and I was just thinking oh, I'm going to make it to the NBA like this. Like I just thought about like that. That was it. But instead of like, you know what? Keep working. You know what I mean? Keep grinding. And it got to me. It got to me being a pro and playing 13 years overseas. But that just came from me not settling when I was young, thinking I was just better than everybody, but continuing to work, and it paid off.
That's what's up, man. How did you? What's the word I want to say? You just said you peaked early.
Yeah.
Right. What did you change to help you continue to blossom as a player?
I would say, and I always tell my son this, man. Every gym I walk into, I wanted people to know that I was the best player in the gym. It didn't matter if it was open gym. It didn't matter if it was in PE or a game. You know what I mean? Like I wanted everybody to know, oh, this guy's good. You know what I mean? And I never knew if I was going to see that person again, or if somebody's watching me, a little kid is watching me. I didn't know. So I was like, look, I got to make every performance, every time I step on the court, the best. Like I got to give the best performance I can. You know what I mean? And to this day, I always say, like, it can't be one or two people that say, oh, I just cooked him and he didn't, like, we didn't battle. You know what I mean? Like it was always a battle. You know what I mean? Like it don't matter what gym I walk into, it was a battle. You know what I mean? So that's my mindset every time I walk into a gym. And I mean, even to this day, to what I'm doing now, it's that mindset.
I love that. So let's go back to Springbrook days, man. 2-time All-Met. I felt like you've always been a smooth scorer. You know what I mean? 3-level guy. What helped you bring that scoring ability out? Was you always a good scorer? I've played. Me and Shaq played with each other 9 and under, was it? PG Jaguars. Yep. So I'm talking from my experience, but I want you to share your thought process on that.
What's crazy? I grew up watching. Obviously, everybody watched MJ. But my favorite players was Charles Barkley, and it was random because I tried to mimic him, and as far because I was a big kid. That's why I got the nickname Shaq. You know what I mean? So I was a big kid, but I'm like, Charles Barkley, he's a power forward, but he can do a lot of different things. You know what I mean? So it went from me learning how to play down low to it's like, all right, like let me get a lot of form shooting, let me get some jump shots in. And then I just developed that jump shot, and after that I was like, well, shoot, if I can shoot the mid range, you know what I mean? It's going to be hard for people to guard me, especially if I can step at the 3. You know what I mean? So again, I didn't really have a trainer back then because again, we all didn't have trainers. You know, we just went out there and hoop. You know what I mean? So I spent a lot of time outdoors and just getting a lot of shots up. You know what I mean? To the point where it's like, man, everything just felt natural. You know what I mean? And I just tried to whatever I really just took whatever the defense would give me. I knew I could shoot the mid range and I knew I could shoot the three, and it's just playing with confidence, man, and putting in that work, and it just kept elevating, kept elevating.
Ah, that's cool, man. You definitely played with some confidence. Definitely played with some confidence, man.
And when you was there someone in your ear, because a lot of kids get to the point where they might peak early and they kind of get that kind of attitude, like, yeah, I'm like that. I ain't got to go keep practicing. I'm not about to go lift. I'm not about to do none of that stuff. And we see those examples where, you know, everybody end up catching up to the same level. But like, you know, was that just pure drive, or like was that supporting cast there like, look, man, I know you think you all world, but you know, you ain't like that. You still need to go and put that work in.
That came back to that humble part I was talking about. You know what I mean? Like the first time I see Stan, I see he can get a bucket. All right, we compete. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter what gym I walk into. I had a mindset of, all right, if I see like we both alpha dogs, I'm trying to play either 1-on-1 or when we on the court, we going at each other. You know what I mean? So it's just a mindset that I had every time I step on the court, no matter who was with. I'm trying to be that. I'm trying to be the leader. You know what I mean? So again, it starts with like, all right, yeah. When I say I peak, meaning like, all right, look, I know my abilities, but it's like, all right, am I bringing it every single day? You know what I mean? Am I competing every single day at a high level? And that's just the mindset and the drive that it just, you know, led me to becoming the player that I am.
Yeah. So why Mason? What made you pick Mason?
Man, you know what's crazy? My dream school was Georgetown.
I think a lot of us had that.
You know what I mean? Like it was Georgetown, and it wasn't even because obviously, you know, like the bigs that they had, but it was obviously seeing AI there. And I was like, man, I don't want to go to Maryland. Like Georgetown is the school I want to go to. So crazy story behind that. At the time, Coach Estrick was the head coach there.
Yeah.
And when he was recruiting me, I thought, oh, like if they offer me a scholarship, I'm going there. You know what I mean? Like that's where I want to go. And you know, when he called my coach and they said, okay, they're interested in me, that could be a possibility. I was like, oh yeah, if he tell me to come, I'm going. You know what I mean? So Coach Estrick, first of all, he's a Springbrook alum.
I didn't know that.
Exactly.
Oh.
He's a Springbrook alum. So when I got that call of, oh, Coach Estrick is interested in you, he wants you to come up next week on a visit.
I had your jersey ready.
I was like, look, this is a done deal. You know what I mean? Like I'm ready to go. So I get a call during the week saying, oh, they just signed another guard from Virginia. Matter of fact, Tyler Crawford. I remember the name. I remember the name. You know what I mean? Tyler Crawford from Virginia. Oh, he had 2 points in the So they had signed him. So when they signed him, I said, like, I thought this was a done deal. You know what I mean? I'm one of the best guys I felt that in the area. And you know, Coach Estrick's a Springbrook alum. Like, this is a done deal. When I got that call, I was heartbroken. You know what I mean? Then a guy that has been considered Coach Bill Courtney and Chris Caputo.
Yeah.
From at the time at George Mason. Caputo. And they have been on my line since I was a sophomore. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was that consistency that they had, but also, you know, knowing Coach Shell and his history and the team that they had built together. When I got up there, I was like, man, this is a good fit. You know what I mean? Like they checked every single box that I was looking for. Providence was also in the picture, but they were at the bottom of the Big East, and I didn't want to be part of a program that's at the bottom of it. And then they had Ryan Gomes at the time.
He cooked
exactly. He cooked them. And he told me when I went on the unofficial, he was like, I'm leaving next year. So I was like, all right, if he's leaving, then it's like, who's here? You know what I mean? So when I got to Mason, they told me everything. I was like, look, you got an opportunity to start as a freshman, or play as a freshman, I'm sorry. The facilities were nice at the time, which I thought were nice. You know what I mean? Because they've gotten better, obviously. But facilities were good, and you know, it was an opportunity to play as a freshman. That's all I wanted. After that, everything's up to me. And I think that what was key for Mason. And also the fact that it's 45 minutes from my house.
Everybody
I
come to the
knew
game.
exactly like family can come. I knew it was close enough where I can come get some food, some jollof rice, the Nigerian jollof rice. You know what I mean? And also, not close enough where I know my parents would pull up every single day. Like it was the great distance. You know what I mean? And it was ideal for me.
Understood. So man, talk about your Final Four run. When did you guys know that y'all was good enough to actually obviously you think you could get to the tournament, but you're like, man, no, we can win some games in the tournament.
That sophomore year was special. My sophomore year, I'm sorry. And it was only special because we had everybody coming back from the previous season. Like we didn't have any seniors that my freshman year. So we knew I had a good freshman year. We went in the CAA was averaged almost 90 points.
Damn.
You know what I mean? But we were giving up 90, 85. You know what I mean? Like we were a high octane team and we played fast, but we weren't defending at a high level.
That sounds like us.
Yeah. So when we came back, Coach L was like, all right, we got the same team coming back. We know we can score. We had 5 guys average double figures that year. You know what I mean? Like that's almost unheard of. And it was like, all right, look, we got to change our mindset of like, all right, now we got to be able to defend, stop somebody. Like we can score, but can we stop somebody? And I think right there, then and there, we had a game where we played Creighton at home, and they beat us by like 20 points at home at our spot. So he was like, "Come on!" Like, what? And this was early in the season. It was like, "What are we doing?" You know what I mean? Like we had a players meeting, and Lamar, Tony, and John captains sat down like, "Look, y'all, we know we can score, but if we ain't going to defend, we got no chance." And again, we had the ability. It was just a mindset. So right after that, we started defending, and we ran off like 6, 7 straight games of getting dubs. You know what I mean? And scoring at a high level. So once right there, it was like, all right, look, we can play against anybody, compete against anybody. And then leading to the tournament, that's a whole nother story. You know what I mean? And the rest is history.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up.
Yeah, that was a legendary run. Like, how was that? Like, after every game, after every win, getting to that next round, like, what was the feeling of that?
Man, leading to that, man, again, we after we lost in the CAA championship. So again, this is mid-major. We got to add large bids, and that's almost unheard of in mid-major. So what was key is the fact that we won our bracket buster game. And if y'all remember, the bracket buster game is one game in conference. Like while you're in conference, you play one out of conference game. Yeah. You know what I mean? We got matched up with Wichita State. And crazy story behind this is, so my grandmother had passed away that year. And my dad was like, look, we about to go to Nigeria for the funeral. And I was supposed to go with them. This was during the year. So as I had a meeting with Coach L, and I told him, I said, look, Coach, my grandmother just passed away. My dad wants me to come, go with them to Nigeria for the funeral. He said, okay, Shaq, can me and the coaches come talk to your dad? You know what I mean? So they came over to the house, sat down, talked to my parents, and asked, look, we understand the situation, but we want to know if we can keep, Shaq here with us, to help us out. And the thing is, my dad was so understanding. He was just appreciative that all the coaching staff came to the house, paid their condolences, and also said, look, this is what we want to do and how I was my work to the team. And my dad said, okay, you know what? He can stay. We'll go. Now, we won that bracket buster game by 2 points at the buzzer. Tony Skin hit a jump at the end. And if we don't win that bracket buster game, we don't get an at-large bid. So if I wasn't there, and I'm not saying that, who knows if I was there or not, if we would have won and lost, I did play well. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? But that was a key game for us getting the at-large bid. So now, all right, fast forward, we get the at-large bid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now we see who we're playing against. And we see Michigan State. We're like, hold on, man. We just played them my freshman last year. We lost to them in the BB&T Classic. We lost to them probably by 7 points. And we were like, hold on, we much better than we was last year.
Mhm.
This is definitely a winnable game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had the same guys. They had Maurice Ager, they had Shannon Brown, they had Big Paul Davis. So they had guys who got drafted and went to the NBA. But we knew just the team we had, like, oh, this is a beatable game. And again, Coach Hill had the way of just making us feel loose and just going out there and just playing. So as we competing, it was like, oh, these guys, they not supermen. Like we out here competing with them.
They bleed like
you know what I
bleed.
mean? Yes. And after that, after we beat them, it just got the ball rolling, man. Like the confidence was through the roof.
I know y'all thought y'all was gonna win that Final Four game too.
Oh my gosh, man! Look, once we got there, it was like, first of all, we thought it was no way we was gonna lose.
Yeah,
Just being the underdog, it was like, there's no way we gonna lose. But I will say this: that Florida team, they had some dogs. You know what I mean? Like Joe Kim Noah, Al Horford, Corey Brewer. Like, even though I still think we gave up a better fight because we only lost by 10. Yeah. They ended up going to the finals and beating UCLA by 20. Yeah. You know what I mean? So we had some incidents, to start the second half, but they just went on a little run and we just can't bounce back. But again, just getting there and then competing at that level was everything. You know what I mean? And there was some moments during that time where, like, shoot around at the Final Four, we had 20,000 people watching. Watching shoot around. Now, mind you,
plus people on TV.
No, they didn't. I don't think they might have.
I was watching.
I think they might tell about. You're right. Plus people on TV. But mind you, we only had 2,000-3,000. I don't know. I would say maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people at our home games that year. Yeah. Now the following year we increased, so we went from having an average of 4,000 people watching our home games that year to 20,000 people watching shoot around.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just so surreal. You know what I mean? Like, we joking around and it's like, man, look what's going on. Then at the obviously Final Four game, you got 75,000 people watching. Not including TV, man. So it was awesome, man.
I know. I was like, me and Shaq used to play together at PG. I dared you to do that. I was like, I know him.
Oh, man.
All right, so let's go now to the pro years, right? Mm-hmm. So definitely one of the most important things is selecting an agent. Tell us about that process. Like, how did you find them? Did you go seek out a guy? Did they seek you out? Did you stay with that person for your whole tenure? Mm-hmm. Just touch on that.
Obviously, getting an agent is key. And I just so happened my uncle had found an agent for me, Mark Fleischer of Inner Sports. And I was actually with him my whole tenure, like my whole career.
Wow. Okay.
And that's like almost unheard of. No, you're right. But the relationship and the relationship that we had was really good, and I felt that he was really working for me, and I wasn't working for him. And it started because when he approached me, he came to my house, we talked, and he was like, "Look, this is what I envision you. This is where I think you can be at." And when I got my first job in Italy, which was kind of unheard of for a guy coming out of a mid-major to play in one of the top leagues in Europe as a rookie, I knew, okay, look, this guy's pretty good. You know what I mean? And a lot of agents try to go get the higher guys so they can market themselves, so they don't really got to put in the work. You know what I mean? And that's the mistake that a lot of players have. Like, they want to go get the best agents, but understand, like, some of those guys don't have to put in the work. You know what I mean? Like, they have guys who are marketable for themselves, and coaches just come calling. Mm-hmm. No, like, I wasn't that type of guy. I didn't go to Kentucky. I didn't go to, a Duke. You know what I mean? Like, I need somebody who's going to reach out to coaches and say, look, I got a player that fits your style of play. And I thought that's what Mark was doing for me. You know what I mean? And that's how I was able to, get a good job that first year. And then after that, it was just more stuff like, all right, where do you want to play? And I would tell him, I want to play in this country. I want to play in this. He's reaching out to coaches, and that's how, that was being built.
That's sweet.
You know what I mean? And a lot of coaches don't. A lot of agents not doing it. You know what I mean? And that's, I think, where a lot of players are, not getting that opportunity.
I was gonna say, what questions should a player ask their agent?
the main thing is, how many clients do you have? You know what I mean? Because if they say, oh, I got, 100 clients, it's like, all right, do you have time for me? You know what I mean? But, and it also is like, it's under an umbrella of other agencies too. So I have Mark Fleischer, but I also dealt with a guy. So Mark was a guy in the States. I also had a European agent as well. You know what I mean? So now I know when I'm in Europe, I might not be able to get in contact with Mark because he's in the States and the time difference is there. But I know I can hit up my European agent because we're on the same time schedule, and I can hit him up right away. Like, look, the team is not doing this, so the team needs that. You know what I mean? So you got to have somebody that's willing to put in, like I say, also the work, but also being engaged with you too. You know what I mean? Like you want to be able to talk to your agent throughout the year. You know what I mean? Because so many different things happen. So I think that's the key thing is knowing how many they have and you know what I mean, like the experience level that they have as well.
Yeah, because I know a lot of guys will talk about like if you went to like a well-known agency or agent, they got so many on the roster, you just another number.
You just another number.
You know what I'm saying? So you can't have that personal relationship. So yeah, that's definitely a key one right there. So tell me how the benefits of the because you say you're Nigerian as well, so of that dual citizenship and like how that because I know in some conferences to have that dual citizenship maybe all is definitely a plus when you get more Americans on one team.
So the thing is, and the rules might have changed slightly now, but when I was playing, especially in Italy, you could have either 5 Americans or you could have 7 what do they call it? Not naturalized
I know what
citizens.
you're talking about.
You know what I mean? So you can either have just 5 Americans or you can have 3 Americans and 4 Europeans. And when they consider European, if you're not Italian, if you're Spanish or if you're, Latvian or Lithuanian, like you're a European. So that was the rule. So instead of me being considered an American, I was considered like a European. So now instead of we're a rule where you can only have 5 Americans, you kind of have 4 Americans and 3 Europeans. You know what I mean? Because I had that passport. I mean, obviously, I played in America. They consider me American, but I just had the passport. So that was kind of a way that they was able to get around basically having more foreigners on their team. You know what I mean? And a lot more Americans with the foreigners too. You know what I mean? To the natural citizen. And I think that's where it benefited, especially Italy and France. That's where it was key. So it was able to make me a couple more dollars because I wasn't considered American. You know what I mean? So I had kind of some leverage. You know what I mean? While I'm negotiating my contract, look, I'm not an American. You guys get an extra player. You know what I mean? Like, what can we do? So I think that's the benefit that it helped me with.
Did you play in the Did you try out with the Nigerian Olympic team?
I did. So, oh man, that's a whole other thing. I want to say back in 2000, maybe I don't know, 12 or 14. I can't remember which Olympics it was supposed to be, but I went to tryouts. It was in Orlando. I had made the team actually, but when I found out that they didn't have insurance, that's what kind of scared me. And I actually a situation I had with Tony, which is the insurance where he got hurt during the Olympics, and something happened and they weren't able to take care of a lot of things. But insurance is key. You know what I mean? Like if I'm going to play with you during the summer and risk my job during the year, I need to know that I'm secure. So when I found out that the coaches were saying they had insurance, but when I'm asking my agent, to find out details like what's really going on, it's like, look, they're not covered. You know what I mean? So I'm like, if they're not covered, I don't want to risk playing, going there, getting injured and not being able to, fulfill my duties during the year. And that's obviously what's more important to me because I got a family.
Right.
So that was a tough decision not to play with the Nigerian national team.
Understood.
So during that 13 years, man, what was your favorite places to play?
Dang, man, I would say I was in Italy, Israel, Germany, Poland, Latvia. But I spent about 5 years in Italy, man.
Okay.
And I think just, being in Rome, Milan, they like all up and down Italy. You know what I mean? I was everywhere. So I really enjoyed my time out there. But Israel was a close second though, man. I only spent one time in Israel and I loved it, man. So
so playing, was there any other time where you had a role that they wanted you to play that you wasn't like, I ain't really trying to do that? Like, I mean, no, because sometimes depending on what they need, the team might need. They might need you to be, a playmaker. You might have to be the scorer. Like, was there any role that a coach wanted you to actually play that it wouldn't kind of fit what you wanted to do?
So you know what's crazy? So my first year out, I worked out with the Wizards, and I had a talk with the GM and the coach at the time, and they basically said, "Oh, we love the type of player you are. You know what I mean? But you don't specialize in something. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're a good, you're a good ball handler. You know what I mean? You're a good shooter. Like, you're good, but you're not great. You know what I mean? Or you're a good, so like, I felt like I can do a lot of things well, and that's what made me different from a lot of other players. Like, I didn't specialize. I wasn't a great shooter. I was a good shooter.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I wasn't a great passer or a great defender, but I was good, solid, and everything. And I think that's what helped me have the type of career I had in Europe, because every team I went to was different. One team I scored average 20 points 1 year. 1 year I averaged 10, 11. You know what I mean? But I was told to defend at a high level. You know what I mean? Or I was told, oh, we need you to score, or I need you to facilitate, get everybody involved. So the fact that, it didn't help me get to the NBA, because you got to specialize in something. Unless you're a Jimmy Butler, LeBron, or something like where you can do it all. Some guys, you have to specialize in something. I didn't specialize in something, but I was good at pretty much a lot of different things. So that's what helped me adapt to different teams that I was able to go to.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Where there's a big guard who they need to post up, or they need you to rebound, out of your position. You know what I mean? So me being able to adapt to different roles was key. You know what I mean? And I accepted it only because I knew, okay, look, this is how I'm going to play. You know what I mean? Like, if I don't accept this role, I'm not going to play. And if I don't play, I don't get paid. If I don't get paid, I can't feed my family. Like, you have to, accept that role. And they tell, and you got to be upfront. And that's another thing for guys who are going to Europe. Ask the coach, what role do you want me to play? Up front. What do you need from me? You know what I mean? Don't just go there assuming, oh, you're going to do what you did last year in college, or you're going to do what you did tonight. No. What do you need from me? And if you can accept that role, then that's not a spot for you.
So let's go some of your best games overseas, and then some of your worst games.
Overseas, I would say in Israel, I had a couple games actually where I scored. I actually had a stretch where I was averaging like 30 or 35 points. You know what I mean? And it was just like,
what was flowing for you?
Like it was everything. Like I felt like I couldn't miss. Like I'm hitting threes, mid range, get to the basket. So it's games where I'm like, man, move. You know what I mean? Coach calling something. You know what I mean? I'm like, nah, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, you see what I did last game? You see what I'm doing now? Like, move. You know what I mean? So it was like a stretch of like maybe 2 or 3 games, maybe not more than that, like 3 to 5 games where I have 30, 35. And again, if you have 30, 35 in Europe, if you get 30, 35, that's like 50 in the league. Like that's you don't get that many shots in Europe. The average, you know what I mean? Unless you cook it. So I had a stretch, especially in Europe, where I was playing well, and then you know what I mean. Then I had a stretch in Germany where it was like, look, man, you have another stretch of games like this, you might be out of here. You know what I mean? So it was just, I would say that stretch in Germany was pretty bad because it was just tough to, again, you got more Americans, you know what I mean? So you got to find your niche, you know what I mean? And you got to kind of like be efficient.
A lot of egos too.
That too. And I was actually young at the time too. So I had older guys with me, you know what I mean, who, were trying to, who made a name for themselves, but also like, look, this is my team. You're a young boy here. You know what I mean? So it's just trying to find your rhythm. And yeah, I had a stretch where it was like, man, it's tough to, get going. So yeah.
All right. So this is probably one of our favorite questions, man. Shaq down by 2, 12 seconds left. What's your go-to move?
Down by 2. We going for the win?
It's up to you.
Yeah, I'm going for the win, man. So it's got to be a simple in and out with the right. I'm not even going to front. My left hand was a little. So it had to be either in and out to the right or a left to right cross. And we letting it fly from three.
From three?
You know what I mean? So one of the two.
Okay. All right, cool. So let's talk about you obviously you always talk about feeding your family.
Mm-hmm.
How was managing your family along with your career, doing that 12, 13-year career? You know what I mean? Like, talk about, did your family live with you overseas or did they stay here? Like, how did all of that work?
Yeah, nah, for the first year it was tricky because my wife now, she was my first year out when I went to Italy, she had to do an extra year of college because she was on scholarship at Manhattan, play volleyball. But she transferred from St. John's to Manhattan, and she sat out a year, so she had an extra year. And I had just had my son, my senior year in college. So basically, I went overseas. My son was here, my wife was here, my girlfriend at the time was here. So that first year was rough. You know what I mean? Like my son is like 1 year old, and I'm in Europe. So it was just basically, we didn't have no FaceTime and nothing like that. Like I don't know the phone. Like I had to wait till I got home exactly and get on Skype. You know what I mean? So it was just tough because I had a little period where a time difference, but also it's like this is the only time I could really talk to him for like maybe 1 or 2 hours throughout the course of the day. So that first year was rough. But then the following year they were able to come out with me, and we stayed together for the next 2-3 years. And then after that, my son started going to school. You know what I mean? So it really depended on where I was. If they had an international school, or if they didn't. You know what I mean? If they had an international school, yeah, they were able to come. You know what I mean? But if they didn't, we probably had to stay back. You know what I mean? So that period right there was tough. You know what I mean? Because I didn't know how long, where I was going, what was going on. And I signed a 1-year deal, so that period was long and tough. But I mean, we were able to make it work for the most part, because I say out of my 13 years in Europe, they probably stayed out there, I want to say 8 or 9.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's strong.
Exactly. But those other 4 years were definitely tough because, again, you guys are away from each other for so long. So the only time they were able to come and visit was, during spring break or winter break.
Yeah.
And then my wife would come every now and then in between that time. But again, just being away from your son for that long was tough.
Does he know any other languages?
You know what's crazy? So the second year, I went to Germany, and they came out there with me.
That's an aggressive language.
It is, but again, when they're young, they're a sponge.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he was actually picking it up easy. He was picking it up way better than I was. You know what I mean? Because at that point, like I had it in my contract where they would, give me he can go to a daycare.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So he would go to the daycare, just spend time with other kids, and he was speaking Deutsch. You know what I mean? Like she would, she said she told him to pick the car up in Deutsch, and he went and picked it up. I didn't know what was being said. You know what I mean? But he picked the car, and I said, "What did you say?" She said, "I told him to pick the car up." You know what I mean? So he was picking it up. Now he wasn't speaking it well, but he was picking the language up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that was key. But then also after Germany, I went back to Italy. So I feel like if I would have planted him somewhere for a long period of time, he could have picked up the language.
All right, so now we back at Mason now, right? So and you the AD at Mason. So tell us about the role that you have right there at Mason, being the AD, and how do you play? We'll go back with your alma mater with and being involved with the school as well.
So I'm assistant director to our Patriot Club, and the Patriot Club is basically where we deal with our alumni engagement, but also our donor relations. And it's more so just me trying to raise money for the program. I thought, when I retired, why not go back to my alma mater and help them out? I knew at that time it wasn't really what I would want to get into coaching, but I wanted to find ways to help out. And I was like, well, I'm an alum. You know what I mean? A lot of people know of me and who I am at Mason. Why not be able to reach out to other alum and keep them engaged? You know what I mean? Also, while I'm doing that, raise money for our programs. Not just basketball team, but all 24 different sports that we have. You know what I mean? So that's my job, is to reach out to alum from all sports, whether it's email, contacts, phone. Just like, look, man, this is what's going on with their sport. You know what I mean? And keeping them engaged, because you don't want to reach out to somebody once or twice a year just asking them for money. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it don't make sense. You know what I mean? But now if we're in straight dialogue, where I'm reaching out to you consistently, whether it's email, phone calls. Oh, how you doing, man? How you doing? How's everything going? You know what I mean? How's your day? This is what we got going on. You know what I mean? Like, we got senior night this night, or we got alumni weekend. Like, this is what's going on. So now they feel like, oh, this guy's been reaching out to me. So now we have a day towards the end of the year, which is our giving day. You know what I mean? So when I come, just send you a slight email, like, look, this is what's going on. This is what we're trying to raise for our program, whatever program you're part of, whether it's soccer, volleyball. This is the number we're trying to reach. Can you help us out? You know what I mean? So having that conversation is like, he ain't just reach out to me April 4th. You know, like, he's been contacting me since January and February. Right. You know what I mean? So that's just all I'm trying to do, and just help raise money.
And I'll tell y'all, I've actually, me and my family went to watch a game, and we got to see Shaq in action. And I'm gonna tell y'all, like, it was very natural for him. He did a great job, and shaking hands, kissing babies. He was real good at it, man. And everybody received you well. So I look for you to take them next steps. Quick question before we jumped into your role right now, but when did you know it was done for you? You was like, man, I gotta hang out this basketball thing.
I knew it was done when I told my trainer. He told me, he said, look, man, I need you to repeat that drill. I said, no, I'm not doing it. Like, I just told him, because the thing is, actually, this was during the pandemic, because the pandemic was my last year. Yeah. Got back home, took some time off, started working back out, and I just didn't have that drive. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have the drive that I knew, like, previous 12, 13 years of, like, going to the gym every day, working hard, working with a trainer, consistency, getting up, getting that morning shift, getting that afternoon, and, in the evening. You know what I mean? Like, that was my routine. And when I realized I wasn't, I was cutting the morning the joints. I was sleeping in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, I was going on at noon, but then when I get there, I'm not 100%. Like, I'm not giving it my all. And I'm bringing my son to workouts, and I see him working hard, but it's like, hey, like, what's my drive now? You know what I mean? Like, do I really want to go back overseas? And then also hearing the numbers that my agent was getting back to me. You know what I mean? Just because with the economy going down because of the pandemic, numbers weren't the same from different teams. So I'm like, all right, the numbers are not the same. I'm going to workouts. I'm not giving my 100%. My trainer's telling me to work, push myself, and I'm not pushing myself. You know what I mean? But then also, I think the last thing was my son going into his 9th grade year. Okay. Like, we've been in Europe back and forth for so long. I always told him, I said, look, man, even though the consistency wasn't good here in elementary school and middle school, I want you to do high school here. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to be here. So him going into that 9th grade year, I was like, man, I can't be in Europe, calling him and FaceTime him, you know what I mean, about, let's focus on class, you know what I mean? Let's make sure we get up in the morning, you know what I mean? Stay away from the girls, you know what I mean? Like these conversations are different when you're in Europe and on the phone, rather than I can knock on his door, like, look, man, let's sit down and talk. You know what I mean? Like, we face to face, I can have that conversation with you. So that was the factor right there. Like, all right, I think I want to be home. And then a position opened up at Mason, and I was like, it just,
That transition was pretty smooth for you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. It's not like you had a plan. That's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I was like, how is it? It gotta be just comfortable, and I would look at it as being fun with all y'all on that staff up there. Just you, Skin, Lamar, Lou Hennon, like all y'all up there together. And then I never kind of even heard of. Is there any other programs with, like, actually guys that played the game and everybody on the staff like that?
Probably is, but they just older, and we just don't
Don't really know.
But the fact that we all from the same area, play on the same team, that's tough.
It's
you know what I mean? Like, you might have a coaching staff where you got some teammates, because but then you don't have a coaching staff, and then a player, somebody that's on the admin side also.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right. So I was there first. You know what I mean? I got there in my position first, and then when I heard that, you know, I was looking for a new coach, and Tony Skin was, you know, in the runnings to be a head coach, I said, oh man, like they got to get him. Yeah. You know what I mean? And obviously Tony hired the rest of his staff, but I mean, just us all being there together, man, it's so surreal, man. Like it's just like as we were there as players, and now we're on the other side. You know what I mean? Whether it's the coaching side or the admin side. You know what I mean? Like we're there now. We're trying to build this program back to where we had it. You know what I mean? And then Lou, you know what I mean? Like he was just the hometown for like back in the day. Like we all grew up playing against each other. Yeah. You know what I mean? So you know he went to Boston College. He did his thing at Lowell, Mass, I believe, and now he's back. So, I mean, he's a great coach, man, and I'm glad he's part of the team, man. And I mean, we got some special things coming up at Mason, man.
And man, we had Lou out there for bully ball, so one of these days we gotta get you out there.
Oh, but I see what y'all been doing. That's tough, man. That's tough.
Yeah, we gotta get you out there. We gotta get you out there. So another question, 2 questions. So I really admire that you decided to jump into this role, right? Most of us get into coaching or training, right? Like what steered you away from, you know, the typical, I want to be a coach or I want to be a trainer? Not saying anything's wrong with it. I'm just saying, like, I think representation matters, right? And, you know, 85% of players are you know, African American, but we don't, you know, in these roles there's not a lot of representation, right? And you're stepping into that lane. You know, why was that important for you? And then why do you think coaches, I mean, most players decide just to be a coach or a trainer?
So with me, it was about stability. Again, I played in Europe for 13 years, and it was only one team, and that was towards the end of my career, where I signed a 2-year deal. So before that, was 1-year deals. I was hopping, you know, country to country, things like team to team. So I figured, I was like, man, like if I come home, I want stability. You know what I mean? I don't want to be, you know, traveling and going different places. Like I want to be home. And I knew if I get on the admin side, I can do this for 20, 30, 40 plus years. But as a coach, you know, it's hit or miss. Right. You know what I mean? Like if you're successful at a program, you might be there for a while. Even you might not be there for, like you might, you know, go somewhere else, you know, get something better. You know what I mean? So, or if you're not good, you get fired, and now you're looking for somewhere else to go within a year or two. Right. But I knew the stability on the admin side. If I'm just, you know, doing what I'm supposed to do and, you know, raising money and things like that, I can work my way on up. You know what I mean? And be at my alma mater for years. And, you know, that's the goal. And on the coaching side, it's like, yeah, I want to be around the game. I want to teach, like give knowledge that I have. But for me, the stability more outweighed that for me.
That makes sense.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I really love that, like all y'all on the staff like that. Like, seriously, like I really like programs should really like kind of take heed and like really do that, because one, from playing at the school, you know the coach, and y'all had success playing. So you know what I'm saying. So they should know, like we know, you know, how to build this thing. We was here. We know how we need the players and the coaches to all buy in. Then we got somebody on the admin side that's pushing to make things work. Like they really, like I really like that, man. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody on one accord, and we play together, so we already know how to work together to make this thing be successful. So I really like that, and I like, especially us doing game related. It's just fun doing it with your brother. So when everybody working together, I just love stuff like that. So I just feel like every organization should try to adopt that type of coach.
It's definitely tough, you know what I mean? Because the program got to believe in you guys. You know what I mean? You got to have an AD that believes in you guys. But like with, you know, me, Tony, Lamar, and all of our Final Four guys, we got to check. You know what I mean? Where we just, you know, constantly in talk. And this has been since, you know, 2006 that we had that chat. And we just, man, continue just talk about, you know, things we did in the past to now. You know what I mean? So it's really truly a brotherhood. You know what I mean? So now it's like, all right, look, we see guys in different roles and different positions. It's still the same. You know what I mean? Like even though Tony's our head coach, I still joke around like it was my freshman year. You know what I mean? So it's just that brotherhood that we've had for so long, man. And now we're seeing our kids grow up. It's special. It really is. You know what I mean? So
definitely was like that. It's not like it's work. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You just coming. So especially from the AD side, so talk about how the impact that social media that have in sports. And on your side, I'm pretty sure you have to maybe put out some fires or talk to people and let them understand that, to be careful because, you're a representation of the school.
Yeah. Now, social media is everything now. I mean, we got our marketing team. I mean, that's all they talk about is what we're going to put on social media. You know what I mean? Because that's what everybody's, especially the younger generation is looking at. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people don't get their news from newspapers and, other sources. Like they get their source of news, like their main source of news, which I don't think you should.
Right.
But a lot of these young kids get their main source of news from, what they see on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and things like that. So it's like, all right, we got to go with what, they're looking at. You know what I mean? So, we try to put out as much content as possible with social media. But I mean, that's just the day and age of it. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have that back then. You know what I mean? Like we had barely YouTube was barely up. You know what I mean? Right. So it's just a different age, but you gotta adapt to what's going on.
Yeah, Maryland High School Sports Show.
Oh my goodness, that was fire. That was fire. You wasn't doing that shit. You was like, come on, man, for Sunday to come. And they had the top 10, right? They need to bring that back. They do need to bring it back. I agree.
That was good. But what you think probably like the pros and the cons of the whole social media?
I mean, it just depends on the content you're putting out. You know what I mean? It's definitely it's a lot of pros to it, but also it can hurt you too in the sense of just this fact is like, all right, well, we invest in everything in social media. Is everybody going to see this? Because again, yes, the younger generation is seeing this, but what about the donors that we're talking to, like who not familiar with technology? You know what I mean? So how do we reach out to them? So it's like you don't want to put all your marbles in just the social media part, but you got to find the ways to reach out to them as well. So it's just a matter of having the resources, being able to reach out to as many people as possible, and then just going from there.
All right, cool. What about NIL?
Man, NIL, man, that's tricky, man.
Could you imagine if y'all had NIL back when you was going to the Final Four? What would that have been like?
Man, what? I tell you this, man. If I had the NIL, y'all would have more. Y'all would have another sponsor right here. I'm telling you this, man. You know what I mean? Because the thing is, and I just thinking about it, and obviously we talked about it in our Final Four chat. It's like the money that we brought to the university.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? Like the enrollment the following year. Lamar Butler was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Like he's a mid-major guy. It's on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Like that in itself lets you know what type of market he would have had. You know what I mean? After school.
Right.
I was in the back of a bus.
Right.
You know what I mean? Drive in the DMV area. Like I didn't see anything from that. I was on the cover of a Cinderella book. You know what I mean? Like these are things that I had, and also now I'm coming back the following year. You know what I mean? So that's jersey sales. You know what I mean? Like that's other stuff that I could have been marketing. But again, like it wasn't done back then, but I'm all for what's going on now. You know what I mean? Like I love the fact that these kids are getting paid. You know what I mean? But it's
I was gonna say, what's the dark side of that you see it from your perspective with maybe not you, but maybe what Mason and the mid-major has to deal with that?
It's hard to keep talent, man. And that's the big thing. It's hard to keep talent. Kids are not going to school for the facilities anymore or the best fit. It's just like what your NIL collective is looking like.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part. You know what I mean? Being able to compete with the top schools or the Power 5 schools itself. It don't even have to be the top school, the Power 5 schools. You know what I mean? You can't really compete. So it's like you can have the best player development coach possible at your program. And they develop all the kids there. they develop them, they gonna go somewhere else.
Mm.
There's no loyalty anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and I get it. You know what I mean? If I was in college and I was like, all right, I'm seeing all these people getting kids talk, man. You know what I mean? They know how much everybody's getting, like they talk. So it's like, I'm going to a mid-major school. I didn't get all the offers you got coming out of school, but now my player development here at Chattanooga developed me to the point where now, it's Power 5 schools looking at me. So now Chattanooga can't, or whatever mid-major can't afford to keep this kid. So now he's looking to go somewhere else in the portal. And it's just tough to deal with that if you're a mid-major, school. Like, you develop a kid and it's hard to keep him.
I know, right? It's like,
and you can't really blame the kid because there's another 100,000 or 50,000 there.
Yeah, kid.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no, if you say, okay, the thing is, you can't flat out say how much you got, in your NIL collective. You know what I mean? But you can say, like, again, they talk to each other. You know what I mean? So you can say, oh, we have, such and such, in our collective as a whole. I'm not saying I'm gonna give you this, but we have in our whole, and it's like, all right, yeah, they got way more than this school.
So it's big bank taking little bank.
Exactly.
Man, yeah, that's tough. I don't know what would be the recruiting pitch anymore now when you going to talk. I mean,
now, you can have your pitch, but they like what they want to hear is like, look,
what's that Instagram where they be like, show me the money.
Who was that? It's a player, football guy. He kept doing that.
That's Dion's son.
No.
Menzel, John
Man, oh my goodness, imagine you going to recruit a kid and you come in the door, he like this.
I know.
What is it?
but I will say this: if a kid does come to you like this, a lot of coaches don't like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because now like, all right, they're not here for the real. Because again, you're not gonna just give, whatever, like $150,000 to a kid and they don't produce.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if your initial thing is like, oh, where's my money? Like, this kid is clearly not trying to get better.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he just coming because he know I can give him $150,000. Like, I want somebody that's gonna come in there and work for that money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So again, you as coaches, they understand they have to adapt to the like what the market does now. Yeah. Again, I told you, it used to be about fit, it used to be about all the other stuff. Now it's like, all right, look, the kid come talking about money. I don't know if I want that kid around my program.
I wish they could put like sanctions on the contract of like performance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if you aren't performing, that 150 turns into 40.
Hey, look, there's a lot of coaches that wish they could do that. You know what I mean? Like, they wish they could bonuses. Like, nah, look, if you don't average such and such, like, but you can't do it like that. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You want to be like it's, but again, now we're talking about pros now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, salaries, like, look.
It's kind of like it though.
It is. It's pretty much semi-pro. Yeah. At this point, with the money these kids are making. I'm not just talking about basketball. Football is even crazy. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I know we was all in college. We were all thinking about the same thing. So I was like, I try not to think about it too much, because it just make me mad.
I knew how to blew some money for sure.
Yeah, all of us.
Some money for sure. So, man, before we get into either or, did you have any other questions for Shaq?
No.
All right, man. So either or, you pick one or the other or both.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Nothing has changed, meaning we still haven't put any consequences on this thing. All right. Springbrook or George Mason?
Oh, man. Hey. I gotta go Mason.
Okay. All right. Tony Skinn or Lamar Butler?
Hey. What are we talking about? Like, just better player? Like,
whatever way you want. Whatever way you
want. Both, man.
It's like they will. Go both. All right. D Wade or Paul Pierce?
I gotta go D Wade.
Okay. All right. Klay Thompson or Ray Allen?
Better shooter?
Just whatever you want.
I think I gotta go with Ray Allen.
Okay, who's a better shooter?
Ray Allen.
Okay, so Ray all the way. Iverson or Curry?
Who?
Steph Curry.
Or
AI.
I'm gonna go with Steph.
Okay. All right. Scottie Pippen or Kawhi Leonard?
I gotta go with the durable guy. I'm gonna go with Scotty.
All
Kawhi's a great player. He don't play enough, man.
right. I think I know this one. Melo or Barkley?
Gotta go with my guy Barkley, man. That's my guy. Gotta go with my guy Barkley.
Okay. Melo or T-Mac?
Woo. I'm gonna go with T-Mac. Damn, that's a tough one right there.
Okay.
I gotta go with
T-Mac or KD?
KD, man. Come on, man. We whole time, baby.
Okay. All right.
Whole time.
All right, cool. Shea or Luka?
Whew. Actually, I can go both, right? I'm about to go both on that one.
All right. Respect or love?
I'm gonna go with love.
Okay. All right. Last one. MJ or Bron?
MJ.
All right.
I was gonna say MJ before you even got to I'm sorry, man. I might be biased, but I gotta go with MJ.
I'm biased too.
I'm definitely biased. MJ all day. MJ all day. So we always close out, man. You want to give any advice and last remarks to any players and parents that's definitely that's playing basketball, want basketball to be a career, and definitely you can talk from a player side and an admin.
Yeah. The main thing is, again, I said it and I preach it. Just stay humble, work hard, and it's not even just with basketball. You know what I mean? It's in life. You know what I mean? Like you got to be humble, man. You got to be a hard worker, and it pays off. You know what I mean? A lot of you don't see the small steps that end up being large. You know, the larger picture. So that's my main thing. And enjoy whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? You want to make sure you're enjoying it and having fun. And I think that's key to, again, I'm not even just specifying just basketball, but just, in life. You know what I mean? Whatever you're doing, whether it's on the workforce, just make sure you're enjoying what you're doing. And you enjoy, going there and being around people. And smile, man. I think a lot of people don't smile enough. And just enjoy life.
I'm gonna tell you what. When I get this tooth fixed right here, boy, I smile all the time, man. But I'm telling you, y'all gonna be sick of my smile, dog. I'm telling you.
I mean, again, man, it's not even just about it's just enjoying life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just enjoy life, because again, you don't know how long you're gonna be on this planet. You know what I mean? Like, just enjoy every moment with family, friends, and I think that's another tough part. We didn't talk about being in Europe. Is being away from family and friends. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think that's what kind of, made me appreciate every moment I'm with, whether it's my cousins, you know what I mean, my brother, sister, my mom, like whoever it is, it makes me appreciate every moment I'm with them, because again, I don't know what the next day holds.
That's important right there. Yeah. That's key. That's key, man.
Definitely.
Well, definitely, man, I wanted to thank you.
No problem,
I think we got everything wrapped up the right way this time. You know what I mean? So, man, I definitely want to thank you for coming on the show. We appreciate you. You dropped a lot of gems. And, man, we wish you plenty of success. You know what I mean? I look to see you in that AD role. I don't know when, but I look to see you in that role eventually, man.
Appreciate that.
I know you're going to get there.
Appreciate that, man. Appreciate that, fellas.
Sure, man. Thank you.
Make sure y'all subscribe, comment, like, share, and all that good old stuff. All right?
Stay game related.